Hello, I'm David Hunt, and welcome to my little section on Bent TV, which is called Amazing People from Our Community. Ooh, how special is that? My guest today, her creative practice spans over music, theatre, visual arts, and community engagement. And she's one of the most joyous people you could ever meet. The minute she walks into a room, you feel, look, I can even see off to one side her smile now, her smiling face, which is so engaging and so welcoming. And that's what makes her a special person. From a family that is so well known in St Kilda, and we'll get to that and why, because it's very popular family in St Kilda, are very much part of the history, the family of St Kilda. She's been involved in theatre, mostly for kids and community stuff as well along the way, education, performance, and there was this one group, something about On Toast, but we'll get to that a little bit later. AFL, beauty mate, she plays AFL in the community league, and there was even a song that she wrote and released around the grand final time as well. So we'll chat about that a little bit later too. It's my absolute pleasure. I've known her for a long time because of the family and because she lives in the area as well. I've seen her so much on the street over the years. I actually run the other way when I see her coming, so I don't have to speak to her. But Nicolette Forte, hello.
Hi, David. Hi, thanks for that.
My pleasure. Now let's talk about it. You as a kid. What were you like?
As a kid, I was the third in line.
Okay.
So I'm the youngest.
The youngest.
Yeah. So the youngest girl, and I feel like as a kid, I would stand back and watch a lot. You know what I mean? So I would be kind of taken to, watch my brother play football, or go watch my sister do athletics, or go to this birthday party or that birthday party. And sometimes when you're the third, it can go either way. You're either like spotlights on you, or you have that thing where you're just bought in to everything else, and maybe you're also asked to act a little older than you are to keep up with everybody else.
Okay.
So I feel like as a kid, I was actually an observer, and I would take things in and I would try things. And if my brother was playing footy, I'd get in there, and if my sister had friends over, I would sit there and kind of hear what they were saying and take all that in. So yeah, that was me. And I also was a really big tomboy.
Really?
Yeah, that's what we called it back then in the 90s.
When did you think that, there's something different, something really lovely different?
Do you know what? As an adult, I remember realizing the moment that I realized I was different. I was me. I was about 7.
Oh, really? That young?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I remember, so I looked up to my brother a lot when I was little, and he had a girlfriend, right? So he was, in his teenage, years, and he had a girlfriend. And I remember thinking, like watching them one day, and I remember thinking, oh, that's just lovely, him and his girlfriend. And then I remember I was playing with a bunch of my pals down in the street, because that's what you did in the 90s as well, right? So, you come home from school and mum would just be like, yeah, go out, and you'd play until it got dark, until you heard that call of like, come inside.
Dinner time.
Right? So we were all like hanging out, me and my pals, throwing gum nuts, playing street hockey, whatever. And there was this beautiful girl that I loved called Diane. What a name, right?
Yeah.
Couldn't be more beautiful. Anyway,
have you made it up, or is it real?
It's
It's
true.
real.
It's
yeah, right,
David,
people.
you can't make this stuff up. No, so I just remember, and when I say loved her, it was just like, I just thought she was
Attracted.
No, I wasn't even attracted at that stage. It was just like, I thought you were just the best, and I just really love being around you. Okay. And then I remember I said bye to her, and I was walking up the street on my way home, and I remember this feeling, and it was like, I want her to be my girlfriend, just like my brother has a girlfriend. Oh. But here's the bit that'll get you in the gut. At that time, I didn't know that was weird. So I remember that feeling, and I remember being like, she could be my girlfriend. And then later on, I realized not only was nobody doing that, I didn't know anyone that was gay, by the way, at this stage in my life. And the people that I had heard that were gay, your Katie Langs or your Ellen DeGeneres's, everyone either made fun of them or made a real point about how they were not accepted.
Right.
And so then I remember this kind of panic kicked in, and I was like, oh no, this is real for me, but it's not the done thing. And in fact, it feels a little bit dangerous. It feels a little bit not good.
Did you speak to someone about it?
No.
So you kept it to yourself?
Totally. I mean, back then, I didn't know anyone who was a lesbian, you know.
Yeah, but you couldn't maybe speak to your brother about it?
No, well, here's the thing, and this is what people will tell you later on, David. They'll be like, we always knew that you were gay since you were this big.
I know.
And I'm like, come on, man. Why didn't you say something? Because I will say this, David, the best thing you can do for young people, and this is also why I do some of the work that I do now, and I really invested in kind of youth and outreach work. The best thing you can do for somebody is just to give them an open question. So what people could have done for me back then, hey, Nico, do you like anyone? Boy, girl? It's just an open question.
Well, I think it's a different time though, isn't it?
Total different time.
Yeah.
And I also remember, David, there was actually this group that I went to in secret. So we're fast forwarding a little bit to, I think I was maybe 15, 14, 15. So in high school, that was rough. And I remember finding out about this group, and it was like a secret gay group run by a youth worker. And it was just a support group, really, kind of pitched as a, drop-in arts kind of group, but really it was a support group for people to come in the area and just meet other people that were, but it was kind of a secret location and things like that, because back then things had to be, right? Wasn't, so safe.
And how was it when you walked into that?
It was like relief. I was just like, oh my God.
And you were hearing other people's stories.
And this beautiful woman, Kate, shout out, she was the first lesbian woman, elder, that I had ever met. And she was beautiful, and she held space for us. She bought me my first diary. Oh, it makes me want to cry. Like, I'll never forget it. She gave us all these diaries, and she just said, like, hey, if you can't talk to someone, write it down.
Oh, and you got that diary still?
Well, do you know what's amazing? Yeah, I keep all my diaries.
Right.
I've got them all like numbered.
Oh, okay.
I've got a shelf. Yeah, it's a bit weird.
Right.
But they like from 1 to, I got lots now. But that actually started, that diary writing started what now I do as songwriting. So it began as just pouring out things that I feel like I couldn't speak about. And then that later on became the songs.
Lyrics to songs.
Yeah.
When did you have your first girlfriend?
Oh, well, that was also in secret, David. And yeah, it was just, a high school girlfriend. And there was no gays in the village at my high school, by the way. I was a bit of a renegade in that one. Didn't deem me very popular, but, it was what it was.
Now, family. When did you come out to family? Was that really hard?
Again, it wasn't so much of a coming out because I was never in. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Like I've never not been the way I am.
Yep.
Yeah, this lezo.
And as they said, well, we always knew.
Right. But no, it actually was one of my brother's ex-girlfriends. She actually was the person, shout out, Anya. And she said to me, one day we were just sitting having a chat. I was maybe about 16, 15, around that age. And she just said to me, Nico, have you got any love interests, And she goes, girls, boys, whoever. It was just that word where she allowed there to be
one or the other,
or anything in between.
Yeah.
And it was like this relief. And then I just was like, blah, 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 blah. And then I just ended up confiding in her. And then she, then my brother ended up coming to the conversation. And then, and so it kind of went from there. And as soon as I felt safe enough to talk about it with someone, then it kind of trickled on. And
what about parents?
Once I was comfortable enough to talk to them about it, then they were cool. I mean,
right.
And after that first secret girlfriend, I had an out and about girlfriend, and we were like the only gays in the whole school. So that became a thing. And then in uni, I ended up going to study theatre.
Oh,
I remember arriving in theatre, and I was just like, oh, my people. And still some of my best friends to this day. are all sorts, mixed bag theatre people, right?
Now, I mentioned about your family being very well known in St Kilda, and and the freedom of the people that are on the streets of St Kilda, and always have been. Who are they?
So my family are Topolino's restaurant.
For people that don't know, a very, very famous pizza, Italian food. And it's been around since what year?
I should know that, David. I haven't done my homework. I'm going to say 50 plus years. I think it's 53 years.
Right.
Now, so actually, are you good at maths? Because during COVID, they had their 50th year.
Right.
We couldn't celebrate, of course, but we basically made a whole bunch of merch. We got Fred Negro, who's an incredible, iconic artist of St Kilda. And he drew this caricature cartoon of 50 years of Topolino. You know, my dad tells me stories about like back in the 80s and things like that, when the music scene in St Kilda was thriving and, you know, didn't ever go to sleep. He would have not only the front room, but the back room, and also upstairs, just full of artists. People would come in after shows. You'd have actors.
Brilliant.
You'd have all sorts of things, all the musos.
And talking about musos, you're a very good guitar player,
thanks, David.
And like obviously you're a singer, songwriter. Where did you learn to play the guitar?
You know what? It's one of those funny things. In school, so I was never what you would call an academic person. I was always a creative person. At that time, I didn't realise, but I'm actually dyslexic.
Okay.
So
well, we didn't know all those things back then.
It wasn't so much of a thing that we knew, right? I mean, now that I look back, all the signs were there. Like, super creative, great listener, you know, can't spell to save myself, loves colour. Like, all of these things are really kind of attributes of someone who lives with dyslexia, right?
Yeah.
And at the time, I never engaged in music because at school, music was almost this kind of, I want to say a little bit elitist. It was a little bit like, if you're a musician, you're an orchestra person. There wasn't space for like folk music or kind of, but.
That's disappointing.
Yeah, it was, I think that's just how it was in those days, David. But I remember the actual moment I decided, I want to do that. And I was on school camp. And you know what's funny, David? My favourite gig, if people go, what's your favourite gig? I say, around the campfire.
Right, okay.
My absolute favourite place to play. There's something very, very spiritual, very magical about gathering with people in nature, around nature's television, the campfire, under the light of the moon.
Isn't it amazing how you get, you can't stop looking at a fire, can
Incredible.
you? It's one of those
things.
things.
It's one of my favourite colours, ember. You know that colour?
Okay. But how hard did you find learning to play? Did you teach yourself or did you go to a lesson?
So a bit of this, bit of that. So because I have a very unique learning style, I kind of basically asked, one of my friends played and I said, hey, can I, can you teach me a few things? And then someone else lent me their guitar. And my mum said, okay, if you still like guitar, in a month I'll buy you one. Brilliant. But play this one for a bit, which was a really great lesson because show me that you like it, and if you're engaged, then we'll get you one. I'm not just going to buy you one.
The right thing.
Right, and so straight away I spent so much time, even to the point where my fingers got sore.
All right.
And I just learned about 4 chords, which, secret to guitar, most songs are just those 4 chords, versions of. But what I didn't know more so was that I could actually sing.
Yep. Oh,
I didn't even know.
Okay.
I mean, my family's not musical. We didn't really. We had loads of CDs playing, lots of Mariah and Michael Jackson and things like that, always in the house playing. But I'd never been taught, or it was never a thing that I was shown. But then I just, together with my notebook from teenage years and just those chords and just my ear. So what I had adapted unknowingly, being a dyslexic person, is the ability. I've got really good hearing, right? And so I can do things by ear. So I can just hear something and sing it back. It's like, I don't know, it doesn't so much make sense, but it's just like, I'll just play something and I know that works with the other thing that I'm playing. Even to the point where I started writing chords. So I'd know, C, F, G, and then I'd be like, I don't know what this chord is, so I just give it a name, like eagle. So I've got all these notebooks.
So you never learned?
Well, I did a couple of lessons with one of my buddies and a guitar teacher called Jim Green, who was beautiful because he would just go, okay, what do you want to learn? You want to learn a Crowder House song? He'd figure it out for me. He'd write it down and learn in my way. So I did that when I was maybe, late teens.
Okay, because I was going to say, like when did all that happen?
Yeah.
It was late teens.
Yeah, and then once I knew those basics, I mean, I wouldn't say that I'm an incredible guitarist. Funnily enough, I play guitar like a drummer. So I don't play melody, I sing melody, but I play like chug. I play like a drummer. So I have a natural rhythm.
But when you went to uni, did music come in there?
Well, do you know what's funny? No, I had never intended music. This is so interesting, good question. I never intended music to be a thing for out there. Music was always a thing for me and a medicine. A kind of thing that I would do to kind of, I don't know. It was a release. Yeah, it was a very solo thing. I would write songs, I would sing for myself, I would sing it camping with friends.
Right.
It was that for me.
Yeah.
Theatre, though, was my first, I suppose, the first thing I pursued. But I never kind of married the two. Like I didn't do musical theatre as such. Because again, I think back then I thought, oh no, musical theatre looks like this. And I don't look like that. And it was funny because in uni, I was never really cast in any roles. I was always the villain, the kind of comic relief, or the man. We've not got enough boys. Nick, who are you, big boy? Yeah, sure, I love that. Love a bit of drag. So, back then roles, for an olive, like big lesbian woman, there weren't many roles back in those days. Yeah.
So what did you do when you left uni?
Well, this is the Theatre on Toast piece that you were interested in before. So one of my pals, Elise Fisher, who still runs Theatre on Toast to this day.
And why on toast? Just for the hell of it?
Yeah, well, no, actually her dad, her late father, Gary Fisher, he used to have everything on toast. So she thought, well, why not Theatre on Toast, right? It's a beautiful name. Yeah. So we started touring this show. We went all the way through Victoria and New South Wales doing a theatre and education show. And we went to small communities. And that was the most amazing job to do straight out of uni because it meant that we were paid. Yeah. Because we kind of
Did you go after grants?
Yes. We got sponsored by Visi Recycling at that time.
Oh, okay.
Because it was a show about the environment and about recycling and composting and stuff.
Okay.
So we got sponsored and we spent a lot of time road tripping. But also my favourite, most memorable shows were the ones where we went into tiny communities. Yep. We would play to a school of 20 kids, really remote. And they'd never seen a live show before. Wow. They'd seen telly.
Yep.
They'd had what their beautiful teachers could supply them, but they'd never had someone come to them. So the value of being like, we see you, but also here is the magic of live performance right here for you. Yep. And in that show, we ended up writing all the songs. So I played live instruments. It was just a two-hander. It was crazy. Yep. It was puppets and costume changes and everything. Of course, I played the villain in that one. But I also was the instrumentalist. Right. And it was so much fun. And we toured that for a really long time. And that's when I suppose I went, oh, hang on a second. Music and theatre doesn't have to be married in the way of what we know as, which I love, musical theatre. Like one of my favourite musical is Rent. What a masterpiece, right? Yep. But that's, as much as I'd love to play Joanne one day before I die, that's not the sort of stuff that I make. There's not one way to do it, right?
No. Yeah. And musical theatre, yes. But see, musical theatre now is getting, like it used to be quite flowery years and years ago, where it's a lot more like Rent, for
contemporary
instance.
Stuff,
But, like even more so now, how it's telling real stories with songs thrown in.
One of my dreams, David, one day, I'd love to do a full-scale, write a full-scale contemporary musical like Rent, but it's called Dyslexia. Welcome to the Jumble. I'll have to hold myself accountable for that now that I've told you.
I'm not going to bug you until it's done. I'm going to bug you. All of a sudden, as a performer, you're like, well, you've been out there performing, going out in the community. But as a singer-songwriter, you're like, when did you take that big leap? Because you did a fair bit on that front, didn't you?
Yeah, sure did. I ran pretty hard at that in my 20s, for
Right,
sure, and
yeah.
had so much fun, right? Basically, I ended up going from uni. I had my first major heartbreak, right?
Oh.
Like huge, like to the point where I was like, I can't be in this town anymore. So I packed up my little Mitsubishi Mirage and all my clothes and my guitar, and I took myself off. And I remember my mum going, how long are you going for? And I'd say, Mum, I'm going for a bit. And she'd be like, how long's a bit? And I'd be like, more than a little, less than a lot. I was very dramatic at that stage, just fresh
Still, so yeah,
right?
out of
I was 21.
Yep.
And I took myself basically north. I ended up in Byron Bay.
Of course you did.
Of course I did.
Look, your hippie outfit.
I love, and back in those days, Byron Bay was really
Very
special.
much, yeah.
Very different now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I took myself, I met a bunch of people there. We drove across the whole country, ended up in Broome.
Performing?
Worked there.
Yeah.
No, just living,
Oh,
just
living.
backpacking.
Right.
I worked in a kebab store. I played music the whole way round. I would go to open mic nights. I would play at hostels, things like that. And I ended up being away for months, right? And I took myself all the way around Australia. I came back, and what I had gained in that experience was like, do what you want to do. So I got back. I want to do music, and I'd met so many amazing musicians around, and I'd really learnt a lot from playing with different people. And I was like, I can do this thing, because before that, I had never played a gig, right? So I came back and I thought, you know what, I'm going to throw myself at this thing. So I started going to open mic nights. I used to run the Prince of Wales open mic night every Tuesday night.
Wow.
I ran one at Paws Bar in Balaclava there. So I used to basically hold community events for people to come and do open mic, which is where I met my band. And they were beautiful. And we spent, probably a good 5 years doing festivals and playing together. We released a live EP album. We did a massive launch for that album at Topolino's restaurant. So we took over the back room. Yeah, my parents loved it. So basically we did our whole event. We sold out.
And it's just continued on from there, like with your journey. Now you've got a partner who you've had for quite a few years.
Well, about a decade.
Right, okay.
Yeah,
How'd you meet?
In the theatre.
Right.
Yeah. So story goes, I've also, being an artist, we hold a lot of different jobs at the same time. So I was working in a community theatre group for people with all abilities. So I suppose before COVID days, there was a lot more funding through the, City of Port Phillip and whatnot for different groups of people with varying abilities. And we used to pick up this group every Wednesday morning in a bus from their supported accommodation. And we would take them to Christchurch in St Kilda, that beautiful old church, and we would do theatre with them. We'd have afternoon tea and do that. And I was doing this one show, and it was on a double-decker bus, as you do, and we were out the front of the St Kilda Town Hall. And I remember, those moments in your life where you're like, there's stars are aligned here for some reason. I'm in this moment for a reason. And I had just finished a show. And I remember thinking, go, at the end of a show, you go say hi to people. So I remember saying, go say hi to them. And I didn't even know what I was doing. It's like my body was walking, but I didn't know what I was doing. So I went over and I tapped this person on the shoulder. And I thought to myself, I don't know that person. They turned around and I'm like, I don't even know you. So I just said thanks for coming. But it was like, I was meant to know you, because that's now my partner of 10 years. Yeah,
fantastic.
Katie, there you go.
And you have a child together?
We do, we've got a little 6-year-old girl.
So what are you doing now? Because you had a break,
yes.
you stepped back a bit.
I did have a break, yeah.
And here you are again now, presenting yourself as a musician. There's been a couple of singles. You released a few weeks back around the AFL Grand Final time, because you play Aussie rules.
I sure do, like all good lesbians should. Yeah.
But it's not in the league, it's a community.
It's called the Masters League.
Oh.
So it's the AFL Vic Metro Masters over 35 League.
Right, okay.
So what's amazing is, David, and this is my story, but it's also the story of a whole bunch of women my age and older, where we were actually aged out. So I used to play footy as a kid and I loved it, just like lots of other girls. And this is true story. When we reached the age of 12 or 13, we were told we couldn't play anymore because we had boobs.
Yep.
True story.
Yep.
And at that time, we just had to accept that.
Yep.
And I remember thinking, but I love football. Like, it was like one of the only things that I actually genuinely loved. Wasn't allowed to play anymore. So I ended up taking up basketball and whatever, but it was never the same.
Yep.
So a lot of women, I suppose, got back on board as the AFLW came up. But now, it makes me a bit emotional, but so say my daughter does Auskick now, she's 6. If she wanted, she could go all the way through every age group and go all the way, and there would be a pathway for her to be a professional player. That for me is amazing because it just wasn't there when I was younger.
And what's it like going out on the footy field now?
Oh, it is the best. Do you know what's amazing? So we go out there, we play every second Saturday just to, rest the bods and whatnot. And so my team, we got into the semi-finals this year. I know, so Granny's ours next year. But you know what's the best? It's the camaraderie. It's just these beautiful women. Like, our youngest player is 34 and our oldest is 62.
Whoa.
Right? But we get in there and it's like we're all 12 years old again. Yep. We're giving each other hips and shoulders. We're giving each other a bit of, banter, and it's beautiful. It's like we forget everything else of what we are in our lives. And in that moment, we're just there together. And there's something very human about being in a bunch of women with other people of your peers and just being together. It's very joyful,
So you've got a new single out that you released for the AFL Grand Final a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
What's it called?
It's called The Chasing Game.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah.
Chasing the football.
Yeah, you got it. It's all about running. It's all about running. Yeah.
And the beautiful thing is, and the video's been out for a few weeks now, is that you've actually filmed your football team in the video.
Yeah, I couldn't resist, David. I thought, why not marry the two worlds? My footy, my music. And so one day at footy training, I said, girls, would you mind if I brought a film crew to one of the matches and filmed us and you were the video clip of my song? And they loved it. So, so we did just that. And it was a bit of fun, it was a bit of fun. And we got in our footy gear and we were throwing instruments around, and I got all the girls to run really, really fast. And it was really joyful.
What's in your hand?
Do you know what? I always have this with me. This is my troll.
Your troll? Why a troll?
Well, so the story goes, my drummer, he was cleaning out his house one day, and he found this troll in his drawer, and he was like, "It's Nico." Like, have a look at that. Do you think it looks like me?
It does.
Yeah.
The hair.
And so I just, I like kind of weird, quirky things. I like to have detail for those paying attention. So you'll find that my troll is in all of my film clips. It's in
on your website.
Yeah, I bring it everywhere with me.
Social media.
Like it's kind of like a little comfort thing for me, and it makes me smile. And I think it makes other people smile, so that's nice too.
Yeah. Thank you so much for chatting with me.
Thanks, David.
There's so much more that we could talk about. Maybe in a year or so's time when you're like #1 on the charts with your with your troll.
Yeah.
And we'll get you back to talk about the next.
It'd be my pleasure. Thank you. Thank you, David.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you for watching today's show. You've got to discover her music. It's amazing. Nicolette Forte, thank you so much for being on the show. I'm David Hunt, and I'll be back again soon. See you later.